Hi, I'm Dave Lamoste and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a Java program that performs various operations on numbers using wrapper classes, implementing them on the following: sum of digits, reverse number, uh, is palindrome, factorial, and Fibonacci number. So let's get on with it. First, we're going to be doing sum of digits. So how can we get the sum of two digits using wrapper classes? First, let's create a new method. Let's say this is sum with double S, then in sum, right? So after that, we'll be putting we must output the answer. So let's say the output should be the sum of two numbers is plus sum, right? But how can we get the sum if you don't have values? So let's create instance variables, right? Instance variables. Let's say int x is equal to 5, then int y is equal to 3. So we'll be adding those instance variables, and then they will they'll be they'll be printed as an output just like this, right? So using wrapper classes, how can we do it? But first, we can't get access to these two variables. We can't get access to these two values without calling them through the class problem5, because they're instance variables and they cannot be obtained that easily. So we must first create a new object, problem5. Let's call this p5 is equal to new problem5, and then we can now call them right here. So we will run the method sum with double S, right? Sum integer dot sum, right? Sum of int a and sum of int b. If you try to write it like x and y, it will have an error saying that cannot be referenced from a static context, right? So what should we do? We must call it through the class using our object problem5, right? So p5, enter p5 dot x and p5 dot y. That way we can call those two numbers as our instance variables. So let's try to run this program. 5 plus 4 is equal to 9. So it must give us an output of the sum of two numbers is 9. Alright, so we have here the sum of two numbers is 9. So that's how you get the sum of two numbers using a wrapper class. Right, so let's proceed to the next one, which is the reverse number. So we'll be reversing numbers. Let's say we have we'll be using this int x. Let's say we have 568, then we should have an 865 reverse number. So how can we do that? Let's create a new method, static int reverse int number, right? That's how we'll be calling our integer variable, right? So yeah. So in order to do that, we must first convert the int values to string. So to do that, let's say string num to string. Let's call it like that. Integer dot to string, and then enter. Let's call this one number. Then we will use string builder sb is equal to new string builder. String builder helps us build string, right? Hence the name. num to string, and that reverse, because we want to get the reversed number of our input. So yeah, say int reverse num. This is where we'll be storing the reversed number that we want to this is where we'll be storing our reverse number, right? So reverse num is equal to integer dot parse int. So why parse int? To read the number values to string, right? So parse int and then string builder dot to string. So int values to string. So why does it say it's on an error? Because missing return statement. So we'll return the int reverse num so that it won't go an error, right? So we'll call the method that we just created reverse, right? So to do that, we must first we must first create a more user-friendly introduction to the program that we just created. So let's say, let's display the value of the number that we want to reverse. Let's say we'll use the int x, right? We'll be using int x 568. So we'll input in here. P5. P5 dot x. Right. So that's the value. Let's say we have number is plus P5, and then it must output the reversed number is plus. We'll create the reverse num integer, right? Is equal to reverse. We'll reverse the value that we have created. We have provided, right? So yeah, we'll reverse the number which was stored in this variable x 568. Number is reverse num. Right, so that should get the right answer. So instead of 568, we should get 865. So let's check that one out. Okay, the number is 568. It says here that the reverse number is 865. So our program read our number backwards. So yeah, that's great. Alright, so we're done with the reverse number, and then let's proceed to is palindrome. So what does palindrome mean? Palindrome means that if you have a word, let's say dad, mom, water, sun, Bob. If you have a word and then you reverse it, like say Bob reversed is still Bob, right? The sun in reverse is Nas. So what does palindrome mean? Palindrome means if you have a word and then you reverse it, and it will have the same spelling, the same meaning, and yeah, the same everything if you reverse it. So that's what palindrome means. So we're gonna be testing today if a word is a palindrome or not. So we're gonna be using a scanner for to make it a bit more interesting. Like then creating a new method, let's say palindrome. Right, then let's call the scanner is a new scanner system.in. Then we'll prompt the user to enter a string of his or her choice, right? And then we'll store the string in this original variable. Is equal to see that next line, right? So then we must put also the string reverse. This is where we'll be storing the values of the string values of the user has input, right? And set that to nothing. Okay, so proceed for loop for int I is equal to, gonna be changing this original dot length, then it should have -1, right? For int I is equal to original length -1, then I must be greater than or equal to 0 for it to continue executing, right? And then I decrement. So for int I, original length -1, I is greater than or equal to 0, then I decrement, right? Let's enter the string reverse here. Reverse plus or equal to plus and equal to original dot car at, then let's put it as I, right? So that way the reverse should be reading all of the string that the user has input into the system, right? Then let's print reverse. We'll be printing reverse after the program has read the string backwards, right? But we must make conditions like boolean, palindrome. If it's true, then let's create a new for loop. Int I is equal to 0, I is less than original length, the length of the string, I plus plus, right? If original dot length, original dot car at I is unequal to reverse that car at I, then palindrome is equal to false, right? So if original that car at I is not equal to reverse that car at I, then palindrome would be false. So if it's false, let's prompt what should be the output. So if palindrome is true, then it should have an output of the string you entered was palindrome. Alright, else it's not, then the system will prompt the string you entered was not a palindrome. Was not a palindrome. Right, so that's how you program, that's how you code to test if a word or string is a palindrome or not. So let's call it. Let's comment these three and let's call the palindrome palindrome. Alright, let's check if it's correct. Alright, enter a string. Let's say blah blah blah. The string you entered was not a palindrome. So because blah 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 in reverse is al bal bal. Let's try again. Let's try another example. Let's say dad. Right, dad. The string you entered was a palindrome because dad in reverse is still dad. So that's how you that's how you test if a string is palindrome or not with a scanner and using wrapper class. Right. So next one we'll be doing is the factorial. So what does a factorial mean? Factorial means that if you have 4 factorial, you must multiply it to each preceding numbers in order to get its factorial, right? So if it's 4 factorial, it means 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So until 1, right? So 4 times 3 is equal to 12, and then 12 times 2 is equal to 24, and then 24 times 1 is equal to 24. So that's how you get the factorial of a number. So let's try programming that one right now and create a new method called static int factorial. It's called int n, right? And then gonna be creating a condition if n is equal to 1, then it's gonna output return 1, right? Else return n times factorial n minus 1, right? So yeah, that's basically it. That way you can already get the factorial of any number. So why is it like this? If n is equal to 1, then that's when the the system returns to 1, in which it would stop. So if it's not, it would return to n times factorial of n minus 1. Right, so let's say if we have 4, then 4 is not equal to 1, then it will proceed to this else, in which return n times 4 times factorial of n minus 1 is 3. So 4 times 3 is equal to 12, and then still we have 3 as our n, and then it would go back to this and check if it's true or not. So if n is equal to 1, 3 is not equal to 1, that's why it will still return to this n times factorial of n minus 1, which is 2. 3 minus 1 is 2, so 3 times 2 is equal to 6. So 2 is still not equal to 1, that's why you still continue to this 2 times 1 until the n has become 1. So if it became 1, then it will return to 1. The system will stop, right? So let's try calling that one. Let's put this as a comment and then try calling out south. That's the name of the factorial, right? Factorial, and then we'll be putting, let's say, factorial of 10. No, 9, 10. Just 10. So the output should have 10 times 9 times 1. Let's say, be a bit simple, 5. So, right, let's check what's the output. So it must have 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. That would be equivalent to times 4, 20, times 3, 60, times 2, 120, times 1, 120, right? 120 must be the output of our program, right? So we have here 120. Let's try again for another example. Let's say 10. What would be the factorial of 10? 3,628,800. Right, that's a lot. So yeah, that's basically it. That's how you get the factorial of a number. So we're done with sum of digits, reverse number, is palindrome, factorial, and now we'll be proceeding to Fibonacci number. So what is the Fibonacci number? So Fibonacci number, Fibonacci sequence is a sequence of numbers in which the first and the second number is added, and then the sum will be put on the third number. So as an example, let's say have here 0 and 1. The output of the sum of those two first and second number is equal to 1. So we'll put 1, or the sum of the two numbers, on the third place. So 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. So we'll be putting the sum right there, and then it's gonna be on a loop. So first number, second number, first number 1 plus the second number 1 is equal to 2. So we'll put that on the third number. Then first number and the second number will be 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. So that's how you get the Fibonacci sequence. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. 5 plus 8 is equal to 13, and so on and so forth. Alright, that's how you get the Fibonacci number. So how can we do that how can we code that as a system, right? How can we program that in a system? So let's create a new method. Let's say Fibonacci, and then Fibonacci. Alright, so we'll assign variables int a, b, and z. Z is the third number. Right. A is equal to 1. Let's set a and b to 1, just like the first number that we have in example. And then z is equal to 0. Right. We'll be we'll be having an output of 1 space 1. So that the next would be the z. We'll put a space for the z because the z, we want it to go right here, 1, 1. Want it to go like this, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, so on and so forth. We want it to look like that, so we'll be having a space for the z right here. We'll put the z right there, right? So that will create a while loop while z is less than or equal to, let's say, the limit. We'll be creating the limit of the Fibonacci sequence. So let's say 100. If it's over 100, then it will stop the while loop, right? So Z is equal to A plus B, right? And then A is equal to B, B is equal to Z. Then south, system.out print line Z, Z plus space. So what does this code mean? Okay, so if Z is equal to A plus B, in which we have here A plus B is equal to 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So Z 2 is equal to 1 plus 1. So we have here if A is equal to B, then B is equal to Z. So 1 is equal to 1, then B is equal to Z. So what was our Z? It was 2. So B is now also 2. So 2 is equal to Z. And then it will be on a loop until it gets on 100. So if it gets on 100, then the Fibonacci sequence will be stopped. Right, so let's call the Fibonacci. Let's try if it works. Let's put that as a comment. Fibonacci, now south. Fibonacci. Ay, the spelling again. Fibonacci. Is that the correct spelling? Then enter a number. Say, no, we won't be entering a number because we're gonna be calling it right away. It's not an int method, so we can call it right away. So let's try calling it. So yeah, we have here, oops, I think I made a mistake of, instead these guys went down here because I put a print line. So we want it to go over here as a horizontal line, like 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. So let's change that. Right, and then Z plus. Okay, let's try running it again. See, oh, sheesh. Okay, we have a print line. Let's remove the line on only system.out.print so that it would print on a single horizontal line. Alright, here we have it. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. 3 plus 5 is equal to 8, and so on and so forth until 144. It won't add 89 plus 144 because it's over 100 already. That's why it only lasted in 144. So that's about the Fibonacci sequence. And if you have any questions, don't forget to research it and ask if you have some. And then if you followed me throughout the whole session, then you would be getting, you would know how to implement and program these various operations on numbers using a wrapper class, using wrapper classes, right? So thank you and have a great day ahead.